there's a separate concept, which is mind-boggling, called mega cities. Now, I know we're early on this, and we're only communicating a little bit about mega cities right now, but what is the concept of mega cities?
So megacities came from the idea of us wanting to give people more, right? Like if you go out and you purchase a whole bunch of plots, yes, you can individually manage them, and yes, that's fun, but we think it takes it to a whole nother level in terms of the way that the open market works and also the way that you can actually produce on your land. And we think if you have multiple plots that are close to each other, that you should be able to connect them. That makes sense, right? And so the first expansion allows you to connect up a 2x2 plot and a 3x3 plot. This may be increased later, but essentially, if you have those 4 plots of land adjacent to each other, you can connect them and convert it into a mega city. Why that is so important is for 2 reasons. The first is the actual output that you can get out of that land. We just spoke about landmarks. When you are combining 4 pieces of land, let's say you've got 3 tier 1s and 1 tier 4. That tier 4 is going to have the fuel landmark on it. Now your other tier 3s don't have any landmark. But once you connect them up as a megacity, they gain access to that landmark. So all of a sudden, you've got a massive fuel production boost. And yes, you've only got a single fuel site on each of the tier 1s, but with a 300% production boost, all of a sudden, it's like you have 3 plots, 3 fuel sites on those singular plots. So that obviously makes it very advantageous for people who have multiple plots to start creating these megacities. Why that's a cool benefit to the entire ecosystem is, yes, that person gets a massive amount of output out of that, but there might be a little guy who's only a single plot holder that is holding one of those 4 plots that you need. So you might have the tier 4 plot, and you've got 2 of the other adjacent tier 1 plots, but there's a single plot there where just one guy out there or girl owns, and she's just happy, just working her land, creating that, that production's fine for her. And then all of a sudden, you get this big mogul guy who comes along, this big whale, and he says, well, I want to create this megacity. I want to go and I want the most output I can get out of my fuel sites. Sell me your piece of land. And then that person's like, well, I know that they're wanting it for their megacity, so I'm going to put a ridiculously large premium on you being able to purchase my land. So it brings a huge amount of value to the little guys out there who,
I see.
And it was actually my idea, and the reason is I just kind of like a little bit of anarchy, right? As you can tell.
This is just like real life, right? Like when a major land developer comes in, or a developer comes into like a downtown area in a real life city, there's that local business that's there, or there's that guy that bought that land 40 years ago that's sitting on it. And they could, if they wanted to, fetch a premium price for their little shop in the middle of downtown because the guy wants to make the land developer wants to make a megaplex there. This is reflecting real life, real estate economy concepts. I really, really like this. And so this can reward people even more so for purchasing plots in various areas. So I like this for my personal strategy. But also, it allows people to become more organized and to think about having adjacent plots of land next to each other in the land sale itself. Really quick, we should say the megacities feature needs to be fully built out, and it is kind of like subject to change, right? In terms of the different features here. So we need to qualify all of this with that. But that means that people today, especially the ones that are looking to make a megacity, should want to be considering purchasing multiple adjacent lands, maybe in the first 100%. Land sale potentially, and thinking about putting together that monopoly, if you will, right now, and getting it all close together. That's really, really interesting.
100%. Yeah. I mean, if you can make a megacity, again, it depends what someone charges you for that plot of land, but you're almost definitely going to make it up. And to be honest, the person who is sitting there on the tier one, they've got a choice to make too. Like, yes, you might be attached to your land and whatever else like that. But if you can clearly see that, hey, this is going to increase production for this other person and it's going to make them an extra 4 or 5 times what they were making in their land, well, I'm going to tap into that. I'm going to cash in off that. And yeah, I'm not going to go crazy to the point where the person goes, well, I'm just not going to be able to recuperate how much I'm spending. But you should be able to come to an agreement with this landowner of the single tier plot that you want to get, where it's advantageous to both of you. So it doesn't need to be a bad situation like that. Those typical developers that come in and try and kick people out of their homes and stuff. It should be a negotiation where it's like, okay, let's work out, what's it worth to you? Sweet. That means that I'm getting 4 or 5 times what I paid for it as a little guy. That's amazing for me. And yeah, sure, you can go off and now start, guzzling down your your fuel because you have a mega city, but that's fine for me.